So today we move to working with the Windows Forms. So as we have covered the parts that are related to object-oriented programming, now we need to do something using the user interface, and uh, the popular one approach is creating a Windows Forms application in Microsoft Visual Studio. So when you create the Windows Forms applications, you need to choose the Windows Form application using .NET Framework or .NET Core, but not the console application where we use a command string to input some commands and to get the output from it. So usually when you just create the form, you have the following elements. Like here you have the form itself. So this is going to be a window, and in this window you can locate the elements, you can create the text box, labels, combo box, drop down list, images and so grids and so on. And locate it here. So for example, I just put the button element. So this is the one of the elements. Here I can locate other ones, and you can also create the interaction between them in the classes. So they will have the communication. And if you want to add more elements, here is the panel, this one, the element panel. And here it's possible for you to add more elements here when you open it, and then you drag the elements you need and place it on the form. So it's quite easy for creating the forms. And when you run your application, instead of just the plain console as you had before, uh, you will have this window itself, and where you can create the actions. You can create the mouse action or keyboard actions to do something. So usually this is forms classes. So this was a constructor, the interface of the form that we have opened before. And here is already the class. So it's just the object-oriented programming. Here we have the list of libraries we can connect. As you see, we have added some of them, like the drawing, link, text, so the new one that we didn't have before. And here you create your class, partial class form1, that inherits elements from the form. So when you type the form, it's already the basic class that is integrated in the Windows application that allows you to have the functionalities of the forms. Now you need to initialize it using the initialize component method. So you just type this method and the form is initialized. Then when you have the actions of each element. Now take a look at this button click. So I have the element button on it with the name like this, with the name button 1. What happens when I click on this element? The method button click is created automatically with the event argument, so E. Now I have this method, and I can type in the functionality in its body, like this. Okay, now I have this. And what I should do this is to type the functionality inside this method. For example, here, when I have the click action, I just wanted to output the message for the user. This is a new element. So I type the message box and I call the message show. Yeah, so already have the class message box, and inside it I have the message show like this. So this is the object-oriented programming. The new only we have the event argument. So and that's like object sender. So these two parameters, arguments, we need to type inside the method. So this is what happens. Like these are related. So this is the interface, user interface, and this is the action. So like if you take a look, this is exactly what you have in the Windows operational system. That's why they are called Windows Forms. So this is the, when you create when you have the applications in Windows, most of them are created like this. So they have these elements like this, OK, cancel, so the same buttons, interface, and then you have the functionality inside it. Events, so they're very important, whether you create the Windows application or the web application, you always need to use the mouse events. So there is a bunch of them, but you mostly probably will not do every one of them. So the popular one is mouse click, when you just use this action like this. So you push on the button and then release it at the same time. So this is a click action. Mouse down should work when you just push on the button, and it should already work. So just mouse center is mostly the same. Mouse hover is when you put your mouse above the element, so on it. So you move your mouse to the element when it is on this element, above it. This action should happen. Mouse leave when you move the mouse away. Mouse wheel should work when you use the wheel. Mouse up is when you release the key. So when you mouse down, you push the key like this on your mouse, and mouse up when you release this. The keyboard events. The same when key down, key up, or key press. So this is on your, like this, when you push some button on your keyboard. So you need to also have these events. You can also create the arrays there, like usually in the class, some variables. It's okay. So they will be also outside the methods. and then you can use them inside the methods of some events in your form. It was quite easy and interesting. And you have the properties window on the upper part of your screen. To the right, you have this property window, and here you have some events. So this is the event handler. This sign, like the lightning sign, is the sign of the event handler. And in the event handler, you have these actions. So this is an example of the mouse events actions. So I created the element status strip, so it will have the text of what action has happened. When I have the mouse down, I will add to this items list this event, mouse down. And list of points is the coordinates where my cursor is located. So, and I added to the list point. So this is actually I created for drawing. That's why I need to have the coordinates, what I'm drawing. And then mouse up, I write this event. So there is a library, the class graphics, and it will allow you to draw something on your form. Like this graphics G. So you create your graphics. The point, you create your point and a pen. So like this. So here was something when I draw, and you see here this status bar. So it will display the action that is currently taking place, like this. On the form, I have the element new button, and inside it I have the drawing. So this is the mouse up. So here is another example of the context menu strip. When I have the paint application, I add some elements to read. So this context menu strip. And I would like to create a list of points like this to create the image from the bitmap. So this is a graphical part. And here I have some methods of elements. For change color, so one of the methods that allows you to change the background color. Thickness to strip menu item. So it will allow to have the scroll bar visible or not. So this is for scroll bar. Then when I have this image, I have draw some image on my form. I would like to save it in the JPEG format, for example. And I use this save and the file name to know where, in what place I would like to save it. So these methods. So here are the mouse actions for the mouse up. Uh, so here I add the text like this for I add the coordinate of the point where it is currently located. Then I type the text like the action, for example, this mouse up. The same for the mouse move. For the mouse move, there is one interesting part. When I move the mouse and I would like to draw something here, and the draw is the color of the brush, this one, pen, paintbrush, new, this for color. So this is for when I use like this action, so try to hold the key and change the coordinate from the first to the second of the mouse location. And using the pen's color, I will draw some image here. So I will call the method draw line. So context draw line. And it will have the list of points counter. So it is -2, point -2, and this point -1. So the two previous points. So from them, from the second to the first, I will draw the line that connects these 2 points. So for the mouse down event, the only that is interesting here that we add the points location, list of points add, and for the label text we add this event mouse down, and we invalidate the form. So what's going on here? And this is exactly in the application what's happening here. So we have the label, and it will show you some event. Then I can save the image, and image is saved in the location I put in the save method where this image will be saved. So this is the application for drawing and saving image. So I can run it now. So as you see here, I have the element label, and about this is a property field. So in the property field I have the text of the label, the name of the label, then I have this context menu. So this is a change color, action, thickness, and save. So 3 of them. The context menu appears when you right click to this. So this is a context menu action in Windows 4. And the color dialog is the name. So by default the color is black. So now you see here is the form class. In the form class, this is a functionality. And this is the functionality I have just presented to you with the save method. Oh, I would like to save and run. So this is the dialog from the change color. Now you see the element has changed the color. So now I draw and yeah, the color is not good. Let's also check the thickness. Now you see here is the mouse move. I created a very thick brush. If I make it smaller, and here is the action mouse up. I just mouse move. It's mostly mouse move, but mouse down. Yeah, I didn't catch this mouse down, but it happens when I just hold the mouse. Then you right click and image was saved, and it was saved now see here we had it was saved in our debug. So when we run this application, so it is here, and it was created in the folder by default. So here is a safe dialog picture. Here is another application I have created. This application is related to the menu. When we want to validate the form. So the validation of the form is also an important feature. When we need to check what we have input in the form, whether it is correct or not. So the interesting moment here, so I have these elements, the label elements here with the names, so in the property. So here what we have here is a code. So the code will be the text, and it is the text of the label. So we have here. So the name is label 2, but what we see to be displayed on the label is in the text. So when you click, and whether you change the text, it will change what is displayed. I see here. Now it has decreased only 3 symbols. If I add it, so now I have more symbols. So this is a text box element, and in the text box element, I have also the name, for example. So this will be the name that I address when I want to get the value, what is inserted in this text box, what is typed in this text box, so I can address the name and get the text. I also have this context menu, the dialog, and also the error providers. These elements are for interaction, for displaying the message. And I have also added a new class. So this is the information about the student. And as you already know, here in the class, we have the fields about the student, the name, the code, the gender, and the node. So the first one, it displays what the name of the student, whether it can be full name or just only the first name. It is a string type. Then I have the integer code. So this is the ID of the student. And then I have the string gender. So and for the gender, as you remember, I have created the combo box where we have 2 values. And here are the properties, get and set. So actually these are the methods see get code, set code. And here are the properties with the get and set inside it. So here we write the value to the private field variable or public field variable, so it depends, but it generally writes something to it because it has the same name. And we have this node, so we address this field and we return the value. So here I have a collection of items like this, male, female, and when we click on this drop down menu, we will have these two values to choose, and we choose either male or female. Like this, our new student, for example, and we have the node. So here I have created the validation. So the validation is 3 kinds. So the length of the node shouldn't be less than 10 symbols. So let's input the info about the student. Now I have the validation of the fields. So enter the code here because I have the check action whether it is empty or not. And enter your gender also. Here I have the exception. It's about the format. This is because I have the code as an integer and I try to insert the string value. So now enter the code. Let's make it. Yeah, and I have the dialog, so the student has been created. So I can change the background. Now I close the form, and the functionality is exactly here. The form in the form class. Here, to address what is inside the text box, I use the name of the text box, like this TB name. Then I have this property text. The node gender. Then I check whether all these fields are correct. If the format is not correct, I throw an exception. The format exception happened. And about the node, so I have another class, another method of the class. the so-called TB node validating, where I would like to check whether the string is longer than 10 sepals or not. If it is not, I show an error. And for about the exit toolstrip menu, I just call the application. So the application exit. So this is the functionality of my Windows application. So it is here.